All right, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Just gonna make sure I can get everybody on the screen here. Hope everybody's doing well
Good
this.
afternoon.
Here we are. Okay. I see us both on here now. All right,
That's bad.
we can see the chat so we can get everybody's questions in today. All right.
Good afternoon, top of the top. Happy MACM Friday, world. Just want to say what's up.
All right, perfect. Here we are. Okay, we are live. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Facebook Live Lunch and Learn with the Center for African American Health. I want to take this opportunity to encourage our viewers to utilize the resources and information that CAA Health is providing related to the COVID-19 vaccine. It's okay to ask questions to get informed about your options. It also helps to hear stories from other people. We've collected a series of interviews with community members called COVID Stories. It's a collection of shared experiences related to the pandemic and vaccination. Please visit our YouTube channel to watch and listen. You can find us by typing in the hashtag Center for African American Health, that's one word, on YouTube search bar. We'll also provide the link in the chat as well. Before we officially start, we'll wait for a few more people to join us. I'd like to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about the Center for African American Health. I'm Eric Moore. I'm the Policy and Research Manager at the Center for African American Health. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the work of our center, we've been in the community for more than 20 years with a focus and commitment to improving the health and well-being of the African American community. We provide community-based, evidence-based disease prevention and disease management programs, events, and services. You can learn more about our work and our programs by visiting the website at caahealth.org. As we move through today's session, please feel free to type your questions in the chat box here on Facebook, and we'll address them if time permits. So May is recognized as Mental Health Month. It's a time to raise awareness of trauma and the impact it has on our emotional and mental well-being. Our focus today is on the mental health needs of young people and the ways in which we engage them in positive, enriching activities over the summer months. Joining me today is Phillip Douglas, Executive Director of Make a Chess Move, also known as MACM, a nonprofit organization with a mission to develop the abilities of youth through research-based curriculum to develop tenacious learners, critical thinkers, and leaders. Welcome, Phillip. Thanks for joining us today.
Right on. Thank y'all for having me, man. This is gonna be something else. I'm gonna just say that much.
Appreciate it. We're very glad to have you here. It's a long time in the making. Before we get started with the conversation today, Phillip, please share a little bit about your background and role with Make a Chess Move.
Oh man, I'm gonna put this in about 3 minutes. You know, born and raised on the east side of Denver, graduated from Manual High School. You know, my family, I'm gonna just put it very politely because I know they're gonna be tapped in, was very fucked up when it comes to the emotional side of the mental health. You know, excuse my language, are we allowed to, am I allowed to speak freely?
Oh yeah, speak your truth, brother.
Okay. You know, so with that point, you know, we grew up in an environment of self-destruction, an environment of drug abusers, an environment of gang culture, an environment of, you know, less. We didn't know that we were living in poverty until I went to college and saw the homies like had stuff that they was like, this is like natural, allowance is natural, that type of stuff is natural. So, you know, just growing up on this side of town, you know, I've always worked in the nonprofit sector. And I believe that's truly what set me apart from others who's doing the work. You know, I didn't destroy the community and then decide to come back and fix the problem after I got jammed up or went to prison for something. You know what I mean? I've always been in the community working with nonprofits ever since I was a 14-year-old freshman at Manual High School working at Youth Biz Inc. So my journey has always been community-based, community-centered, and for the people.
No, that's the truth right there. You know, and I think that's the important thing too, is that as youth, in particular, we have to think about the fact that we are the future adults, the future leaders, producers of our communities. And we got to think about, how introspective are we being with ourselves? It's easy to move through life just because it's happening. We can't stop it. And there's a lot of things that get in front of us. So, it's important for us to be self-aware about where we come from and what kind of impact we have around our environment. It's not just the
Yes,
up
indeed.
around.
And MACM, it gives us that tool, that lane to be self-aware, to know what's going on without, they say common sense isn't common anymore, and I like to test that just because of the fact I like to believe in us, but I always see issues that's going on within our community amongst us that I'm like, man, why are we doing this? So even looking at one of the components in our curriculum, in our program, we just started is the Make a Culture Move, where we talk about the issues that's in our community that we're not supposed to speak about. And the crazy part, Eric, is when we start talking about these issues, it's not white folks that's gunning for us. It's not Asians that's gunning for us. It's not folks that's outside of our community that's gunning for us. It's our own damn community that always want to, have something negative to say about us because we want to speak against gang culture, for example. I believe that gang culture is very destructive and deadly, and it's one of the worst things that happen to our community, to the point where it took black folks, black men more specifically, out of the household, to the point where black men more specifically, don't even know what it means to be a black man nowadays. So we look at mental health as taboo. We don't talk about going to therapy to see how I can get healing. We see healing, especially as a black man, as shit, I'm a black man, I don't need to get healed from nothing. You know what I mean? When in reality, we all need to try to figure out what that healing looks like. And my push on the strategy with therapy is, is this how black folks, our culture, is supposed to do therapy, like white folks have put it out there? You know what I mean? Going to a therapist, talking to a therapist, no true relationship building within that component, I don't believe. So I that's my push when it comes to mental health and therapy. You know what I mean? But yeah, go ahead, rap with me, man.
Yeah. That's a good way to say, there's many roads leading into the same city. And, the thing is, if it works and it's constructive, then we got to be open to that. And, I love the idea of you thinking about, what does that look like for our community? Because everybody's different as far as how they're able to adapt and be able to use tools for their own purposes. So, that's a good point you brought on.
Yes,
how does that look like for us? Malcolm uses chess as a conduit to develop skilled thinkers and compassionate young leaders. Can you please elaborate on the organization's mission? You touched a little bit on it, but tell us a little bit more about the mission.
So, our mission is to build a just society by developing tenacious learners, compassionate leaders, and ethically driven critical thinkers. Chess is just a tool, a conduit that we use to do that. Chess, the board game, is only 5% of what we do. The other 95% is taking those lessons, that mind frame of a chess player, and applying it to life. So we're not out there doing shit that we know that we're not supposed to be doing, therefore getting us killed or getting us sent to prison behind our own choices, our own decisions. And that cycle, that school to prison pipeline, man, that machine is a monster. The cycle of fatherlessness in our community, that machine right there is a monster as well, and they work hand in hand. So like I said, it's just a little bit, the board game chess is just a little bit of what we do. Just to put it out there too, I did recently won my very first chess tournament. You know what I mean? So this chess tournament was thrown through the End Game Association. Shout out to the End Game Association. Y'all get some time, check them out. This is the third tournament that I participated in them and with them. And the thing is, I don't get to like play chess and actually like play it. Usually when I'm playing chess, it's always in teach mode or lesson mode. It's not murder mode. You know what I mean? And I just want to get out there and be an animal sometimes. And chess, I never was athletic. I wasn't when it came to schooling and stuff like that, you catch me in the library on a chessboard. You know what I mean? I stayed off of the courts. I ain't scoring no touchdowns on the court. You know what I mean? So I specialize. So even when it comes to, I'm not violent at all, but I beat somebody up on that chessboard. You know what I mean? But I'm saying all that to say chess is not a big part of what we do. So even looking at, I always look at, the need. All right. And it come back down to, I always say, man, I wish I had somebody like myself when I was in school. I wish I had somebody like myself, around 22. If I had somebody like myself when I was around 22 years old, from 23 to 27, I would have still been out here in this world. But from 23 to 27, I was forced to sit down behind bars, behind my own choices. And my choices was me affiliating with my own family. And then when it came down to, the feds, they run crazy. But when it came down to it, I took a deal, but I didn't give them the information that they wanted. All right. So they offered me 44 months, but I ended up getting sentenced to 87 months as a first time in the feds because I didn't cooperate. All right. So again, it all comes back down to choices. And I look at it like God has set me down just so I can truly get my priorities in order. Everything that I'm doing with the work that we're doing with MACM is God driven. I don't know what I'm doing with this community work. I wanted to quit 50 million thousand times. You know what I mean? And at this point, we are in a very good position of trajectory. We started in unofficially 2012. It was when one of my mentees was killed. For the first 5 to 6 years, I would say we made, and I'm being modest, all right? I'm being modest. I'm trying to give credit to my hustle. For the first 5 to 6 years, collectively, we made about $25,000, you know what I mean, doing the work, servicing the community. And in the background, I put my kids, I put my family, everything on the back burner while I'm out here servicing my kids. While I'm out here servicing the community, but it came down to it was again, it was God driven, because those was moments where when I wanted to quit, when money wasn't coming in, issues at the house wasn't, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh man. But again, everything, this is God's plan. So right now we are bringing on and we're paying youth in our own community, with the money and the funding that we get. We're not heavy staffed when it comes to the funding. We're very heavy when it comes to paying our youth, paying our community, training our youth, and training our community. These skills, even when we look at everything that's going on a virtual, they got a whole lot of different platforms that the youth can use to potentially get them their own YouTube page and get them booming. You know what I mean? So those are different trades, different skills that we train and teach within our, make a career move. So right now you heard of 3 MACMs, make a chess move, all right, make a career move, and make a culture move. Just now you've heard of 3 MACMs, all right? And we still have our make a competitive move. Again, I'm not athletic, all right, but we bring in, I'm smart enough to bring somebody in who know certain stuff. So when it comes to the athletic piece, because there are youth who are big on sports, who's like, man, if I don't get it right here in the sports, I'm not going to get it at all. I got a youth right now. He's a phenomenal basketball player, but he's like, I can't do the college shit. It's the books. I can't do that. So we still trying to make it so that we can reach the youth who are not, just chess driven and stuff like that. But in the same sentence, we make and teach them those skills that they need out here in these streets in order to survive. And a lot of the stuff that they teaching us in the schools, are not survivable tools that we need, especially as Black and brown young men and women. You intended. And if y'all hear me say you intended, that's like 5 words in one. It's, do you know what I'm talking about? 7. All right, you intended. That's it. So I just taught y'all a little something.
I appreciate you saying, I appreciate the background and just, you sharing the personal story. I think that's an important lesson of just, a lot of times I think when people want to change things in their lives, it's not really just tackling, it's not really tackling like 10 things at once. You kind of need that anchor habit. You need that one thing that kind of gets you started, and you start up and seeing that vision of what could be in your life. You have to start making a change at one point in your life. And I think that's the thing that I've always seen with the chess thing, is that it gets people into that mindset of thinking. And like you said, making those branches of where are some different moves in my life, I can start to translate those skills. Because that is a complaint we get in the education system. We don't often have a lot of applicable skills that come out of that. A lot of it's going straight towards more academia. When you think about higher education, going to college, or straight into the workforce. And even in the workforce is that mindset of being an employee. And it's never really around being someone who's a producer. If you're producing for someone else. You spend 8+ hours a day working on someone else's dream. It's a lot, and we have to make sure that we're not just relying on the education system to do something that historically we've seen it doesn't give us those outcomes, especially for communities like ours.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And that's even with the same when we look at our community. A lot of when it comes to solution, we always try to put the problem off on somebody else instead of accepting that problem so we can fix the problem ourselves. We want to push off on a white man. You know what I mean? We want to push off on the police, and mind you, I'm not big on police. I've never been to anything as a juvenile, as a youth. I was in college when I had got indicted. You know what I mean? They didn't know I was fighting the same fight that they were fighting, but just from the inside with the community. But I'm saying all this to say, when it comes down to policing, I'm like, man, they got to do their job. We have to figure out a way to work with them. And one of our problems as a community is once we look at Black folks, Black organizations working with the police, Black folks in our community want to start looking and calling us snitches, confidential informants, because we want to work with the police instead of just sitting on the outside looking at the police doing all this damage without trying to come up with real life solutions. And I'm not talking about, I'm going to stand on my block and watch out for anything hot just so I can tell the cops. Nah, that's not going to happen. That's not the move. That's not the wave. When it comes to the culture, we always going to try to figure out a way to uplift the culture. And the only way I'm scared for Black policemen. I'm scared for brown policemen because that system targets and attacks them too. So when it comes down to, Black folks and police, because I know that's a big issue right now too. We got to look at ourselves, but we also have to look at the culture of policing. Because I know we say we have to police ourselves. My oldest son, he's 10. He told me this is recently that he wanted to be a police officer. I'm like, oh shit, and me, that's my internal. You know what I mean? I'm like, my internal is, nah, nigga, you can't be no police officer. We ain't doing that shit around here. Fuck the police. You know what I mean? That's how we moving over here. But my external is, this is my guy. He already see the issue as young as he is, and he want to fix the problem the right way by policing us. He see that without even saying that. You know what I mean? And I have to change my attitude about it. And one way that I can change my attitude about it is instead of seeing the police as, these blue dudes out here, I'm trying to see them more as Black men in police uniform, because that's the first things first. But at the same time, they are showing me time and time again that they ride that blue line wave hard and first fast. You know what I mean? So we do have to take that time to realize who we are dealing with, number one, before we build that relationship, because we got to get in there some way to change police culture. so that, you know, our babies can start being police officers and policing our community where it's safe for them now, you know, and the community has their back type thing. Intimate. So that's heavy.
Yeah. Hey, but it's necessary. You know, you're absolutely right. Culture is a big thing, and I think folks should take the message of that. It starts with you. You want to have a healthy household. It starts with being healthy as an individual. You want your neighborhood community to be healthy. You got to start with yourself, because there's a lot of things that we could be focusing on. But one thing that you have control over is yourself and how you move in this world. So that's something that's important to start with, because you can control yourself. You'll start to be able to change the environment more and more. And you'll find other people who are like-minded and you share on that mission, and they'll be sharing our resources, they'll be sharing of time, people power around that. Sorry, I just looking at time. I want to make sure we get through some of the other today.
Yeah, that was my bad.
No, you're good, and we can go over a little bit too today. I know we usually do 30 minutes here, but you know, this is great information, and I think that there's just so much going on lately. This is something that's necessary to talk about. So
Yes, indeed.
COVID-19 pandemic had drastic negative effects on the mental health of young people, specifically the disruption to routines, school schedules, and milestones like prom. So Phillip, in your opinion, how can parents teach their students, how can parents help their students regroup over the summer and pick up the pieces after enduring such a stressful year?
You know, the COVID, you know, they ain't do nothing but just put everything that was in the schools, the issues that the schools were facing right in our faces. And if we were paying attention, we had saw those issues. The only problem with the COVID was they weren't able to suspend the students and send them home. You know what I mean? That's the only difference. You know, these schools are still showing, these students, the youth are still showing their ass. You know what I mean? So one thing that that me as a parent, you know, one thing I do as a parent is I check in with my kids every half an hour. I let them know stay focused. Are y'all focused? Do y'all need anything? Let me know what y'all need. If there's anything that y'all need, let me know. Every half hour, y'all focused? Man, I see you over there. I'm encouraging. You know, I give them some head love. I give them some high fives. You know, we high five on the black side. You know what I'm saying? You know, I just see how different. But the thing is, too, we wanted to get out of the traditional schooling. We were getting ready to go the homeschooling route anyways, just because of the fact we see that the curriculum that the DPS teaches is not for our babies. You know, and I want our babies specifically to have more of an African diaspora coming up with them. You know what I mean? And I know that we're not going to get that following the DPS curriculum. You know, so as parents, because another thing too that I realized with the COVID, you know, is these babies, especially in the household, they cannot wait to say, Dad, look what do you know that that's something that they learned. Every chance, every opportunity that they get, they wanted to tell us, they tell me something every day of something. Did you know that the elephants, did you know that did you know that? I'm like, man, that's what's up. And I'm thinking, like, when they were in school, they didn't have that opportunity to share with us right then and there something that they learned. So it should be an opportunity for, you know, us to pay more attention. You know what I mean? So that's in terms of family, looking at the COVID and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, in terms of regrouping and stuff, I've always been reading to my kids. I've always been active and playful and always doing something with my babies. You know, my kids don't have a PlayStation. You know what I mean? They don't do 2 iPads and the iPod phones and stuff like that. You know, they draw, they read, you know, we play activities, we play Godzilla-opoly, you know what I mean? So we do a whole lot of stuff together, which, you know, a lot of parents, they sit these kids in front of these devices.
Yeah. Let them do the teaching. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah. I think that's a great point. It's that intentionality. I mean, I'm not a parent, I'm not a father myself. Most of my peers though, they have children, and something I do see those trends where, technology, especially kids nowadays, with young kids, they're born in it. I was born in the
oh
era
yeah,
we're just now getting those gateway computer towers in the households. Mid
yeah,
everybody started getting computers, but now everybody's got iPads and tablets, and you have all these different games that just show up in everywhere, and they're born into this, and we have to make sure that we got our minds around what kind of content they get and who's really teaching them, and that
mhm.
intentionality, that's the important piece. And sometimes it's just small things. It's like you said, like having a habit of reading. That's a small daily thing that parents can strive to implement. And one thing I notice, at least with young kids in particular, is that they often your children will show interest in whatever you show interest in as a parent. So you have to
Oh
create
yeah,
space for them to be able to see new things, experience new things, and a lot of times they'll show you whether they like it or not, but they'll show their interest as long as they go because they're still exploring themselves. So just doing a little
mhm.
bit of that effort to be more involved in their lives, it makes all the difference for them. We can talk
And
about
to put it,
stories.
yeah, and to that point, all of my kids, they do know how to play chess, but I was not the one who taught them. I tried to teach them, but it was like, oh, I ain't have the patience for them. It's crazy because I could teach the youth out there in the community how to play chess and had the patience for them. But when it came to doing it with my kids and teaching them how to play, I didn't have it. So I didn't push chess and MACM on my children. They hear me say MACM every day, all day. So with me being who I am and living a MACM lifestyle, they see it. They want to be a part of it. My son, he already told me when he get older, he want to work at MACM. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's dope because his sister already works with us. She's already working with us. She's our editing director with MACM. So she trains the youth on how to edit the videos, how to set up the StreamYards, the Zooms, all that at age 10. That's where we start the trainings at age 10, where they will be able to set up Zoom rooms, break them out into classrooms and all that other stuff. But if you don't mind, I want to plug our summer program real fast. You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Because so this summer, I know everybody's starting to push and plug their summer programs. Right now, what we're getting ready to do, it's on our website too, makeachessmove.org. Is we call it the MACM Summer Wiggle. All right, that's the 2021, where it's just a move. You know what I mean? So we're getting ready to push out or make a competitive move, or make a culture move, and also our make a career move. Where by the end of the summer, we will have a business launched that the students will have launched in a make a career move. We're going to train them on different job skills that they will need. We're also we're going to have a chess tournament during the summer as well. And we're going to host a sports clinic for youth during the summer as well. So there's going to be a whole lot going on during the summer, and it's a paid internship, so we can hire. I believe we're going to try to hire about 30 youth this summer that we can pay and train, these skills with. So, all the information is on the website. If y'all have any questions, the link, who y'all can contact, all that is on the website. Intimate. If you want MACM in your school, you can email us. Check out the website. That's all I'm gonna say. Check out the website. All right.
Hey, that's perfect. Yeah, we got the link in the chat, so everybody, check it out. Once the stream is done, go ahead and look at the programs. Reach out to Malcolm if you have children or if you yourself are a youth who are interested in being in some of this programming. I know we're at 12:29. You mind if just I ask you one more question before we close out?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I had a few more questions, but we talked a little bit about learning over the summer. So the other question, of course, is around some of the societal issues we've been talking about at the beginning of this, which is, how do you think the Black Lives Matter movement affected the lives of young Black people? And what are you hearing from your youth that you work with around the events that they're witnessing in the news and on the streets?
Again, I'm gonna try to be as polite as I can. The Black Lives Matter movement is not especially the 52 one is not community focused across the country. Let something happen. You know, if it's not I mean, and it's sad just because of the fact we want to focus on other folks' backyard instead of focus on what we have to do to take care of our own backyard. But to keep it simple, and this is not just me saying this, the Black Lives Matter community, move is not present, you know, in the Denver community, unless it's something political, you know what I mean? Something that's, you know, where the cameras and stuff is going to be. But if it's just something in the community, you won't hear about it. So, you know, they don't get no rap with me. And I've sent them emails that they don't respond to me. So I'm all right with them. We still do the work. We are the Black Lives Matter, taking care of the other Black Lives Matter in our community. That's it.
Oh, okay, perfect. And sorry about the pause on my side. We had it slowed down. I just had to make sure the stream was still live. You know, I appreciate, you know, that your organization and you personally, you're focused on making sure it's community centered. And I think, again, you know, for us to be constructive, we have to think about how is it that we can build up the individual and send that person out in the world so that they can do good for the community they serve. And, you know, a cohesive society, everybody from their own community should work on fixing the issues and improving where they are so that we can start to have across the country a healthier country, really. You know,
yes, indeed.
Things that folks can prioritize over, but I think that you got to start at home first.
That's I just about to say that we got to start in our own crib. You know, that's it. You hit it right on the head.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I know we're a little over, so thank you for allowing me to take some more time from you. We did have some questions in the chat, but some of them we actually did cover already. So, you know, we'll wrap it up. You know, so we are out of time. I want to thank you again, Phillip, for joining us today. For everybody watching still, we have this video. It will be available along with past Facebook Live recordings on our YouTube channel. That is in the chat, so you guys can go ahead and look over there as well. Please, again, visit makeachessmove.org. Check out the program, great work they're doing. I also made sure that we have their Facebook as well. You'll have a lot of different things like up-to-date posts like Phillip, again, congratulations on winning the first tournament, the chess tournament. So
man.
I saw that post earlier. But yeah, they're going to have a lot of different news. They have podcasts that they do on a variety of different topics, and it's all youth-led. So it's something that in particular that folks should be interested in. Check it out. Again, thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you have a great weekend. You too, Phillip. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Peace out. Have a good one.
I appreciate it.
Peace.